Well, so can't remember what episode number this is, but we're going to talk about Number five. Sorry, everyone, if you're watching this. So number 5 episode. So what we're going to talk about today is something that personally I have had issues with. I know my clients have had issues with. I know people personally have had issues with, and it's time management and productivity. And what I wanted to do is, talk to you about it, get some of your tips and techniques, and I could share some of my own tips and techniques as well. And hopefully that will help the listeners and the people watching on YouTube with time management and productivity. So starting off, have you had issues with time management in the past, and is it, what have you done to try and rectify that?
Yeah, I'd say anyone that's worried about productivity is going to come into time management at some stage. I generally don't have many issues with it, but I notice a lot of staff that come on board, they're maybe not used to time blocking their time, for example. So time blocking, for those listening, is the art of taking one of your digital calendars, might be Google Calendar, it might be Outlook, or other tools. You can use a spreadsheet as well. And you basically block out the lozenges for what you want to do with your day. So I've used that technique for quite a long time, but what I'll kind of notice is sometimes I'll drift away from good habits of time management, and I'll have to come back and refamiliarise myself. And it's when I find myself where I'm either not getting through the work that I'm trying to do, or that I recognise like a sort of trait in myself. So you might look at something and go, I would normally be all over this, why is that? It's probably because I've deviated from time management principles. So the way I've kind of done time blocking in my diary, for example, is I've actually looked at what do I need to do within a given week. So I need to sell, I need to market, I need to manage my team and show face to make sure that they're being mentored and they're kind of happy with the work they're doing, they're getting time with me. There's administration, there's strategic thinking, like where is the business going? And then what I do is I kind of convert that into coins. So imagine that there's like kind of 100 chips of, let's say, a poker chip or something. Yeah. People are going to think I'm an addictive gambler. It's lots of poker analogies, but I then stack the chips based on where I want my time to go. So let's say Friday. So Friday for me is largely a networking and meetings day, and it allows me to kind of like ramp down my week. Now, often I'll work on a Saturday and Sunday anyway, but it allows me to kind of like tail that off and have like a nice structure to my week. So I've kind of like built up my calendar in such a way that I've got, there's Monday through Friday, these are where the lozenges sit, and then it allows me to kind of say that. So if I'm talking to you and you say, do you fancy a coffee? Yeah, we can have a one-on-one, it's not a problem. My mind instantly goes, let's open a calendar, and you'll see me doing it every time. And then I check against the calendar to see where my gaps are, and to make sure that I leave myself gaps. So in the past I would have ran it where there's a meeting right into another meeting. And online you can do that a little bit more. But if you think about it, it's not realistic. We can't end the meeting at 12 o'clock noon and expect to start another meeting at 1 minute past. It just doesn't work like that. You have to look at it and say, I need maybe 15 minutes or 5 minutes as a comfort break, or if a meeting goes over.
Can I just ask a question in there?
Yeah, fire away.
So if you time block, so say if you time block on a Thursday and Friday and that's your calls, what if somebody wants a call on a Monday?
So so this is where I look at it as, if you're not in control of your time's in control of you. So the way I've done it is, I'm not doing it right now, but at certain stages I'll actually not read emails until 12 o'clock in the day. So no emergency from a client or a staff member is so major that somebody would die if you didn't answer it before 12 o'clock. And I looked at it as, do I want to be woke up in the morning where it's like ba-ding, 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 and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm dealing with all these fires rather than actually being what I'd planned to do for my day. So I almost like prioritise what I'm doing, and then I jump back to it. So to answer your point, if a client asks me to do a Monday, I would just tell them I'm not available on Monday, I'm already scheduled into meetings. So even if there's like a 2-hour gap on the Monday that I could put them into, and I've got that scheduled for, let's say, a blog post or something like that, I'll just tell them this is when I'm available. Now I won't just restrict them to like a singular day. I don't think you can say to someone, I'm only available for a meeting on a Thursday, or the following Thursday, or the following Thursday. They're then going to probably wonder, does John have another job? Is there some reason? But giving them maybe 2 or 3 days as a choice, mornings and afternoons, and rotating it,
What if they
can
say
work
it's
out.
what if they say it's urgent? I must speak to you right then and there. Do you?
So let's give it as an actual example then. So what would be an example of something urgent, and we'll kind of just role play.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like I need to talk to you now. There's an issue or something like that. There's this issue with a project.
Yeah,
I
no
need
problem. So actually, I've got meetings through to around about 6 o'clock. Can I call you back at 6 o'clock and I'll just take that right now? If it's that urgent, we can kind of deal with it that way. Or can I pass you to one of the staff members and they can capture what you need and we'll kind of get onto it.
Yeah.
So I can't cancel the meetings that I've got here, but what I can do is I can basically stay back at 6 and I can give you a phone call then.
So
how's that work for you?
That's good. So you're really strict. You're really strict with your time blocking.
I have to be, because see the way I kind of learned it the hard way, in the sense of let's say I've got a meeting with you, right? So I've got a meeting with you, and I've actually had this done to me as well. But let's say I've got a meeting with you in the calendar. We've had that calendar meeting in for say 6 weeks. So you're thinking, I'm going to meet John at 1 o'clock on Thursday. That's great. And then a client comes to me and they says, but I'm going to give you 10 grand. And then I say, Mark, you're in the bin. I'm meeting this 10 grand client. Sorry mate, we'll reschedule. How do you feel?
You mean you don't? The person that's just been cancelled on is obviously.
Yeah. So you're less value, aren't
less
you?
value.
You're seen as less value. You're not valuable anymore. So I think it's a bad trait to do it. And like people cancel things where they kind of rank the meetings, and I'm like, I don't rank anything. I basically acknowledge that if it's an emergency, why are we waiting until Monday? Let's just talk about it now.
Yeah.
But I need to talk to you at 6 o'clock because I have these other 2 clients, and like you, I value their business, and I would never do that to the client. It is hard to do that, and it's also that kind of like sitting with uncomfortable. You have to do it though, because if you don't do it, then it's like basically all your clients will learn that trait, and they will start to manipulate you to say, well, I need you to do it right now. And you're thinking, I really can't. I can't do this just now. You're going to be compromising your family time or your staff time, or somebody's going to get let down because you hadn't planned for bang that in it. But what I've done in post, just to kind of take the other side of that, is this happened to me quite recently where a client was quite demanding. And they were saying like, we were trying to get hold of you and you weren't available. And I was thinking, okay, so sorry, just to understand that then. So when I took this on, I didn't realise I was going to have to be available every single day for ad hoc calls. So just can I clarify that with you? Is that something that you're expecting? So from an account management standpoint, do you want to speak to me every day for some form of update? And then the client said, well, no, I'm not asking for that. I said, well, how frequently would you like to be updated? No, well, even if you could talk to me like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, fantastic. Let me adjust the time blocking in my calendar and I'll account for that. And then every day we'll have a check-in at 2 o'clock. Would that work for you? And I'll do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we can step it up or step it down as need be. So I'm showing them that I'm willing to flex, but I'm not willing to panic. So I think it's like, there's a great quote, and I just love it, so we'll say it anyway, but it's like, piss poor planning on your side doesn't constitute an emergency on mine. And I think it's exactly that. You need to plan your time, and then that's what you do. If you need to adjust your planning, great, but that's the following week or whenever your calendar frees up again, to be honest. But I've never cancelled meetings on people because I just think it shows I'm not in control of my time, and I think it reflects badly on me.
I've definitely had issues with time, so probably a lot of kind of learnings from it. I'm actually even hiring a PA just now.
I'm so jealous of this. I want a PA.
To manage the time even better. It's not just to managing time even better. It's to help us with a lot of other things. But one of my techniques with time. So what I try and do is maybe on a Friday or Monday, I've got the goals for the week. You know, because things are moving. There's lots of moving parts. So I don't really try and have a set days for each week. So I know that, like, it was my personal trainer, he has, he does client stuff on the Monday and the Tuesday, and then the Wednesday he done some sales stuff, and then on the Thursday he was doing some stuff for the business, and then on Friday he was doing more sales stuff. And he would that would be every single day, and he wouldn't do client stuff to like the Monday, Tuesday next week. So he's just so regimented. So mine's is a little bit different, and it'll base it on what the clients need, or am I going to be doing more sales, or is there a marketing campaign for Mavens? But one of the techniques that I learned and I picked up, it was actually during COVID, when COVID just kind of hit, everybody's working from home, and my my chair at the office it's quite decent. You know, it's an office chair, but everybody was probably in the same boat. They didn't have an office all kitted out. You couldn't go and buy office chairs. Everything was closed down. So I basically was like sitting on a really uncomfortable chair. And after the first week, my back started to get pretty sore. I was like, something's wrong, but I must be sleeping in a funny with my pillow. And it was the way I was kind of sitting for a long time. So what can I do with that? So basically, there's a Pomodoro technique, it's called. So it's like having a tomato timer. So you do 25 minutes on.
I've seen this. And then, sort of like egg timer thing. And then 5 minutes off. So, and it just improved productivity so much. So it helped my back, but got tasks done. So I was able to just go into deep work for 25 minutes, solely focused on that task. And then what you would even find is you would get through that task quick, because you'd have 25 minutes, you'd be like that, right, got to do it. And you wouldn't be like that, right, and look out the window. You just 25 minutes, because you have that 5 minutes break where you stand up and you get away from work completely. You stand up, you can go make yourself a coffee or go and look out the window or do whatever it is, but you don't do work on that time. And then once that 5 minutes, bang, back into 25 minutes. And you do that over a course of, I think it's 4 or something like that. There's like 4 runs, and then you give yourself, I think it's a 15-minute break or something like that, or a 10-minute break, a wee bit longer, and then you go again. You just keep doing it. So if I opened your calendar just now, would it be in sort of like 30-minute wedges then?
No, so it's kind of similar. So there's what I'll do is maybe in the morning there is like, we're going to do sales, and it's like 25, 5, so it's within there, like that. So that was a really good technique, and probably links a little bit to a book that I've read as well, as like Deep Work. So I know that I listened to another podcast, and the guy basically, what he does is he knows that there's set things during the day, so he knows he has to deal with the clients in the morning, so he gives himself a bit of time for the clients in the morning, bit of time for the staff, bit of time for his emails. But then he goes, my most like efficient time is usually between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Yours could be 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, mine's could be 8 to 1. So he knows his most efficient time, and that's where he sets down and he actually does his deep work, and he switches everything off, takes away all sorts of distractions, and just like straight to it. And that's where I kind of get that 25 minutes. It's like, no, this is complete, absolute focus. Nothing's going to annoy me. If you're going to annoy me in the 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is not there. With that as well.
You ever heard of the Whiteboard Technique?
No.
It's quite interesting. I follow this guy in the US, Sean McCabe. He runs like a different podcast as well. But he was talking about when you're distracted by something. So like, let's say you're distracted by Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. So you go on Twitter and you lose some time. So what you do is you go up on the whiteboard and you write Twitter down on it, and then it's like distracted by Facebook, distracted by YouTube, and it's like you literally list these things out, and that becomes like almost like a ban list. Like you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it allows you to kind of keep it front of mind, in the sense of it's being present, that kind of way, like you do exercises where like you really focus. Yeah. So it's a mindset thing to make sure that you don't kind of get drawn down in these kind of rabbit holes, because I'm the world's worst for that. When I'm working and stuff like that, as long as I'm not doing coding or anything, I can usually sit with, like, say, like Joe Rogan or whatever in the background, sit and listen to a podcast, sitting doing my work, typing away, quite the thing, enjoying that. But if I'm sitting on my phone, I can easily just sort of lose, and you're like, whoa, you look up and you're going, I've just played 3 hours of Sudoku or something. Yeah. And you're like, that's not good use of my time at all. No. And I'm not getting any 3 hours back. Yeah.
It's good you talk about kind of time distraction things, and there's, like, as you said there, probably the Whiteboard Technique. There's a couple of tools that I've used in the past, and there's one that we use just now because we sell time, so we do time tracking. But the tool that I was talking about is Rescue Time. And I used that at the very start, and it would tell you, like, at the end what you've been doing. So if you've been on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but you can actually block that. So you say it wouldn't let you go on at a certain time. So when you try and go into the site and go, I need to go into my Gmail, no, you're not allowed to go into that until like 12 o'clock, so it would block you from
so it's like a proxy. It basically stops you from going on it.
Stops you going on. So that's one way to kind of do it as well. I also feel that utilise like your mobile phones, utilise your computer. So we use Apple, and they've got a feature called Screen Time, and with Screen Time you can actually see what apps that you've been in, what you've been kind of working on like the most of the time. So I'll do this and I'll actually look, and then I'll say like, I've actually been on WhatsApp, so and I know that I've been sitting chatting to my friends on WhatsApp for like a number of hours, or I've been on TikTok, and you can see how many hours that you've been on TikTok. So actually then just kind of eradicating that out your time, and just making sure, right, actually I'm spending too much time in that, so make sure I don't like delete the apps or whatever. And then switching off notifications. So I've started doing this. It was more so to help with kind of. It came from actually my personal trainer, to be perfectly honest. And it was more to do with like mental health and things, because a lot of people will go into like social media or whatever, and they'll be like, see what other people are doing, and constantly clicking a notification and getting away from like real life and family life. And actually what I've done is like just switched all the notifications off, so I don't even get the wee red dot that or anything that pops up. So you only actively go into it because
when it's your terms, you want to go into it.
Because what these apps are trying to do is they're essentially getting you addicted with like dopamine. Because when you looking at these apps, it's like a dopamine kick that you get.
Exactly. Two people have liked it. Who is it? Who liked it?
TikTok video gives you a wee dopamine kick, so that you're addicted to just keep on looking at that. So if you switch that off, you can eventually start to wean yourself off to it, and you end up going out more walks, speaking to the family, finding out like what your kids are actually doing at school, rather than going locked into a computer or locked into an app. So I think you can probably talk about all kind of traditional methods, but you could also use technology to your advantage to take out these kind of time distractions, because I think of time management and productivity, these are the biggest things. I talk to people that will be like, I was locked into TikTok for like 4 hours, like just going through videos. Like, what could you have done with 4 hours of your time?
I think, see, the technology thing, there's probably like papers and studies. I'd be interested to read it, but I bet you there's studies about like the kind of cookie jar analogy, in the sense of like, I won't eat the cookies because they're in a jar, and you're like, well, you can take the lid off and just do that. Or I won't spend that money because it's in a jar, but you could just dip that to take a takeaway or whatever every now and then. So it's almost like habits can override even the best kind of tech like that. But there's also like another method, which is like it's like depriving yourself from it. So there's a guy I follow, Anton Creel, so he runs a hedge fund. Right. Fantastic guy. I'm fascinated by hedge funds. It's like really, really interesting. But he's got like an episode where literally they turn the camera and they go, I have to ask, what's with the phone? And it's like one of these like bricks, like a proper like Nokia 3310, And he's like, why would I want people to be able to distract me? Why do I want all the notifications? And even just the fact you can go on YouTube and do all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I love the regimented way. Like, the only people that know his number, like for his actual desk phone, is the broker that he deals with to place the puts and whatever on the stock exchange. But his actual phone is just sitting there in silence, and it's like a proper old school phone. But I think because it's not stimulating, you're then probably not likely to do it. It's kind of similar to like people that diet. So if your cupboards are all full of like McCoy's crisps and sweeties and juice and all that kind of stuff, you're just going to consume the snacks, or you're more likely to do it. Because if you look at the cupboard and you're like, there's only fruit, but if there's only fruit, then you're kind of like, I'll just have a banana or something.
No, exactly.
I mean, it's just, I think there is a school of thought that although the technology is amazing, and like, I'm actually a fan, like, I love the fact that what you were talking about there at Doctors, here's what you did. I'd done that with one of my business coaches probably around about 2 years into the business, and they were saying to me like, I know you work all the time, John, but I'd like to see how efficient you are with your time. And they made me write down every single thing I did, and I'm talking about everything. It's not like I spent half an hour writing a proposal. It's like literally, no, I spent 10 minutes writing a proposal, and then I looked at a Facebook alert, and then I did this, and then I updated my timesheet, and then that kind of way. And it's like, it was analytical, so it was like literally 300 lines of time entries for every day. And sometimes there'd be 2 or 3 lots because I'd work at different sections. And they were quite surprised actually at how little time I allow myself to do things out with work, because I'm quite strict on it, in the sense of you're not going to get stuff done if you're too distracted. Like, it annoys me when I get drawn into maybe a TV series or something, and I'm like, oh no, what's happened? Like, I watched like Queen's Gambit and like a winner, and you're thinking, that is not a good thing for John Loudon to be doing.
something I done similar as well, and I think I took advice from somebody. So I basically have got like an iPad pencil, and there's an app called Pencil Planner. So everything's in my diary and my calendar. And what I did was I've got everything planned out. So between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, I'm going to be talking to the staff, and then 10 o'clock to whatever. So it was all based out exactly in blocks. But what you could do is you could see on one side what you've got, but you could actually write notes what exactly you actually did. So I kept that open and went, right, I've taken a call from a client that lasted like 20 minutes and did this, that took 35 minutes. So actually having what I planned in the left hand side to what I against it. To what
it's
I
a brilliant
done.
way of doing that as well.
And it's really then kind of taking back to doing time audits, auditing your time, auditing like what you actually worked on. How long it's taking you to do certain tasks. So you could kind of go, well, it's, I'm going to put in 2 hours because it takes me 2 hours to write a blog, or it takes me 2 hours to do that marketing campaign, whatever you do. But sometimes it doesn't.
Of course. Sometimes it could be shorter, it could be longer.
Sometimes it doesn't. And to do that time audit and to actually track the time, that can also change things, because if you keep on setting 2 hours to do a certain task and that ends up being 3 or 4 hours, that's going to eat up your time each day, if you're doing that each day or each week or whatever. So across the month it's a large amount of time.
So there's a question on time blocking for you. So let's say you've got 2 client meetings today. One of them's at like say 1 o'clock and one of them's at 4 o'clock. Both of them have like a bust tire, or their kid's sick, or they've had to isolate. What do you do when that happens with your calendar? So it's been scheduled, the meetings disappear, what you were supposed to be doing isn't possible now. What do you automatically fill the time with? Like, how do you handle that in your calendar?
There's always tasks, there's always something to do, so whatever.
So do you have back burner tasks that could go in
there'll be back burner tasks, or moving on to the task for the next day, so that I know that I've kind of got a bit of leeway time. It could also be kind of, honestly, it's different in different situations. It literally happened last week. Funnily enough, I had a call with a prospect. I phoned them up and they were like, "I'm really, really sorry. Some emergencies happened. I can't do it. I've got to get to this place." So I was like, "Great." And there was an issue the staff member had, and I was able to then go, "Right, cool. I've now got this hour back. I'm going to sit with you for this whole hour, and we're going to get this sorted." And I sat down, we went through the project and we got it sorted. Really productive. Really productive. So I'll always find myself, so it's very situational, I would probably say. I wouldn't sit about, I'm going to go make a cup of tea. I'm
50% of the time, probably.
No, there's always tasks to do, and it's just something about me. I'm working at that time. I do like to make sure that I'm not working all hours. I do like to make sure that I'm also give time in my personal life for my family and all that sort of stuff, exercise, all that type of thing as well. I think that's quite important. Make sure that you block your time out for other things. So like in a type things like morning routine, like I get up, I meditate, I do, if anybody's heard like Wim Hof, so it's like Wim Hof breathing technique.
So that's the guy that goes in the ice water.
And all that. So and I also get a cold shower. I do a cold shower every morning. So I do that. That's my morning routine. Get up, do that. Sometimes I go to the gym and then I get into work. So that's kind of time blocked personal life. And then when I get back from home, it's dinner, spend time with the kids, get them to bed, all that type of stuff. And then the weekend as well. So I think that's also very important. You make sure you've got your business life, but you've also got your personal life, and actually time blocking with that as well. And I've also had, a couple of examples, and probably talking about time blocking and calendars and stuff. I added the wife to like the calendar.
Very dangerous.
So I'm fitting you in at this time, and adding her to the calendar. She stays it, and she was like,
at least you were polite about it. No. I said to Ali, "Is it in my calendar?" And she said, "Am I your secretary?" And I'm like, "No, but I'm just like, that's the best way, genuinely, of making sure I'm there." So now actually, when, like, say it's a family day, so we're going to the safari this weekend.
Yeah.
So she's like, did you remember to put that in your calendar? And that's all it is.
Yeah.
And that's all I was really asking for is if I put it in my calendar, I know I'm there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just book meetings right over the top of it.
Yeah. I definitely get my head bitten off when I did that, and I booked her into a calendar invite for like just spending time with her, and she was like, "You will not do that." I was like, "Okay." So I just do it secretly. She just doesn't get invited now. But yeah, I kind of talking on that, like time audits. It's something that we do. So I sell time. I'm a service-based business, a marketing agency. I charge for time. So we have time tracking software. So I'm very much a tech guy. You probably get this across the podcast. There'll be always a wee gadget or something, and I use a tool called Time Doctor. And I initially done it just to really start kind of getting my time out and figure out what I was doing, but it's got so many different features, and it's really helped me along, because you can be doing a certain task and then you know how long that you're going to be doing that certain task, so that I can then take that and build that properly to the client. It's also quite good as well, because if the client ever is wanting to see what you've done, and you say, well, I don't feel that you've given me my 10 hours this month, I can actually go, here's a report of exactly what I've done. And what it actually does as well, it takes screenshots of your screen at the time.
I like what you're doing.
So what you're doing, and it's basically it's got the mouse movement and the text and all that. So you can actually say, I was actually working. There you go. This is the evidence. And that doesn't happen a lot. There's obviously a lot of kind of trust on it. But then that kind of eats into the staff, because the staff then are like, we're getting watched,
Big brother.
We're Big Brother's watching you. But it's never ever been about that, and that's the one thing that I've always tried to ingrain in them. It's really about us to kind of continuously improve, because one of the things I learned when charging clients with time, I could do in a certain time, because obviously I'm senior, I'm more experienced, but then you get a staff member that can't do it as fast, and then you need to kind of bill in that time, put in that time for them. So do you charge a little bit less, or do you charge a little bit more, but then they're getting less blogs or whatever, because they can only do it in a certain amount of time each day. So I had to change my packages, change the way it was pricing to kind of fit it all as the business is growing. So so it's really good. So a tip is to maybe utilise a tool, something like that as well, like a time tool, to see what you're actually working on and how long it takes you to do a certain task as well. Because there's lots of different things that, it's not just even with time software. It's like, you have a meeting with somebody. What do you do after that meeting? You don't then go straight into the other meeting.
No, of course not. You try to take the actions.
You get the actions, the follow up.
Yourself to then go what you're doing next.
The follow up.
Prep time, and also decompartmentalize what you're starting.
But in the past, I've had back to back meetings, bang, 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 bang.
I used to do that. That's horrendous.
And it's like, and even when I get into with coronavirus and COVID and working from home, that became the kind of the Zoom world. I almost kind of felt that, because there was no kind of travel time, whereas you would meet somebody and you go, right, when I'm travelling back and I could quickly just write my notes. What happens was like Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom. I remember I was like a whole day of Zoom. I was like that, totally exhausted.
Burnt out.
It's like a Zoomathon like that. Oh my goodness. So it's really important that you block that time to go, right, we now need to take the actions, take the notes from that, and actually send it on to somebody to action, or you action yourself, or put it in your diary or whatever as well. So
speaking of time blocking, the bell has struck 13, to use your dystopian analogy you're using. What's your business belter, if you give us one for today?
Business belter is definitely, I would say, audit your time, analyse your time. There is loads of techniques out there now. We've talked about Pomodoro, deep work. I never touched on it. You've got your Warren Buffett's top 5. You take 25 and then you list out the top 5 from that. There's also SMART goals, all that type of stuff. You just need to use what fits with you. Hire a PA, but that's going to change my life. But it's essentially really, really important to know what you're spending your time on. Audit your time, analyse that, use tools like Rescue Time, Time Doctor, apps like Screen Time, to see what's actually getting worked on each day. And with that, you will improve productivity. You will get better at your tasks. And what be you? So what would be your business?
The biggest thing for me, and just simplifying it to one, is it's just that reminder of that. If you're not in control of your time, by default your time's in control of you. So if you want to kind of be productive, it's to actually just take control of your time. As I said, there's lots of different methods to do it. I think it's more important about finding the right methods that work for you. Some people absolutely hate, the idea of having to set a timer or have a watch buzzing them, or a PA prodding them and saying you're not supposed to be doing that. I actually get that at night time as well. Like sometimes I'll roll around and look at my phone, and my wife will sort of like poke me in the back, and she'll be like, "Put your phone off," because she'll know that the next day I'll be exhausted, because my mind will just go into that kind of boring again of YouTube. But yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah.
So I think we'll call it there for an episode today, guys. Time management is so key, and so many of you were asking about that, and this is a great example of some of the topics that have been given by you, the audience, the listener, that you're interested to talk about. What we've kind of noticed is when people are engaging with the podcast and asking questions, and we do episodes on that, we're getting a far better uptake, and it's far more interesting to you as a viewer. So if there is a topic you'd like to cover off, you can email us at info@businessbelters, or you can engage on us in any of the social media platforms that you listen to the podcast. All it's left to say is it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him.
Catch you next week, guys.
Thanks.